Hey, this is Alex. In this video, you're going to find out how to hire the right salespeople. The salespeople that bring you a positive return on your investment. That means they bring in more money than you spend on their salaries, bonuses, and so on. If you can't figure out how to hire salespeople, in most industries, most businesses won't be able to grow successfully. So you need to master this as a skill because this is one of the most important skills to grow almost any kind of business. Even if you get leads online, even if you have sales letters, sales pages, sales videos, and so on, salespeople have the highest conversion rate out of anything else potentially that you can do to get sales. Now, how do you actually find salespeople? Where do you find them and how do you hire? We're going to discuss all these topics in this video and more. So the first thing is this strategy I'm going to teach you, it doesn't apply to corporate sales. If you're going to sell to really big companies and you want to hire people who have contacts in the industry, I'm not going to be discussing that. This is for smaller companies selling to smaller companies mostly. So the very first thing I want to tell you is where to get salespeople. In most of my other videos about hiring, I talk a lot about Upwork, freelancer.com, and other freelancing websites. Now for salespeople, these websites are not that great. There's not a lot of good salespeople that I've found on those websites. And I've hired hundreds of people. So basically, you're looking to hire people who don't have too much experience. I know this is very counterintuitive and probably the opposite of what you've heard in other videos and other books and so on. But based on my experience, when you hire salespeople, they need to do things exactly as you were doing. Okay, so you were doing sales before you started hiring salespeople, I hope. Otherwise, you shouldn't be hiring salespeople. So what you need to do is you need to transfer all that knowledge and all those habits onto the salesperson. So what I always like to do is I like to train them from scratch because I know that I have the skills and I can train them very, very quickly to close sales. And if it's a salesperson with 5 years experience, they won't learn. They'll adhere, they'll stick to their existing methods, to their existing habits, which are very, very hard to unlearn. Maybe there's other people out there who are better at teaching or coaching or whatever, but for me, it's always been easier to hire people who are a blank sheet, but who have what it takes to learn. They have the basic, let's call it talent out of lack for a better word. So how do you actually find it? If it's not on Upwork, if it's not on Freelancer, I go and I look in Facebook groups that are related to the industry that I'm interested in. So for example, if I'm looking to sell services online to companies through inbound leads, I go look in Facebook groups like the one that I run, Daily Business Hustle Open, where there's a lot of young people who want to become entrepreneurs. Now guess what? They want to become entrepreneurs and they know they need to learn sales and they're already interested in the industry, right? They don't necessarily already have sales skills, but I can teach them that. And they're very eager to learn and they're very eager to make some money, right? So that's a good lead. I'm looking for a person who wants to get out there every single day, early morning, and make shit happen. Get the money to the bank account. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who's quick to talk, his brain works quickly, he can make decisions quickly, and he can control his emotions somehow. Someone who's all over the place, like very jittery, and his voice is like has this weird upward tonality where he talks like this all the time, and it sounds like he's lying all the time. Now these people, I would have to teach them much more than someone who's already baseline confident, has a nice deep voice, and knows what they're talking about. Someone with a lot of confidence. So I'm looking for those kinds of people and I make it hard for them. I make it hard for them to apply because as a salesperson, their primary thing that they're going to be doing is get rejected because most sales calls result in a rejection, right? So if they can handle some rejections from me while I'm processing their application, then how are they going to do it on a sales call? So when I get them from the Facebook groups, when I get them from LinkedIn, when I get them from like local listings, websites for students looking for jobs and so on, what I do is I get them to apply and follow my rules for application. And it's like, oh, make a video for me call me as if you're selling me stuff, and so on. And it's a job application. They know it's a job application, but also, actually, it's a sales call. They don't have experience with sales, but it is a sales call. I just want to see what happens when they don't necessarily know what's going on and they're put in a new situation where they're under a lot of pressure. And it's not just them and me, it's them via Skype or a phone call and me with a business partner of mine. And we're constantly interrupting them. We're constantly talking to each other. We're making it super hard for them to do anything on the call, right? And I just want to see what kind of reaction do they give to that naturally. Because if the reaction is totally off, then it's going to be pretty tough to teach them how to have the right reaction. It's possible, but I want to make it as easy as possible for me to teach the person. So if that person has a strong frame and won't be interrupted if we're just messing with him, that's good. And if he insists on, look guys, I want to do this for you, I have 30 minutes, I want to talk to you, I want to make it happen, but if you're going to talk to each other, maybe you should book another time. You know, if they are very strong in their beliefs and very strong in how they communicate, that's what I'm looking for. So the questions that I ask them aren't that important. What is important is how they behave on the interview and how they respond to me and how they react emotionally or unemotionally, right? So that's actually one of those very important things. On a sales call, if they react emotionally, they're not going to be as consistent in my experience. I'm looking for guys who are, or girls who are grounded, who just have a baseline of, confident, good emotions, and they're able to deliver every single time. I'm looking for people who don't lie, because if they lie to me, they're going to lie to my customers. And if they're going to lie to my customers, my business is going to suffer. That's super important. And that applies to almost any business, let's be honest, to every business. So ask them questions where they would be very motivated to lie. So you can ask them stuff like, what are some bad things that your boss would say about you from your previous job, one of your previous jobs? And if they try to make it sound good, that's a bad sign, because that means they're very eager to please and to lie. That's not a good trait in a salesperson. So there's many more things like that you can do, but here's the best thing, or the best thing you can do to hire salespeople. Instead of just relying on this interview process, make the interview process very short and give them a 24-hour and a 1-week test. So hire 3 people and then get them to do the calls or emails or whatever they need to do for you. And then in the first 24 hours, the way they deliver, the way they communicate with each other, with you, with anyone else they need to communicate with, that's the way they generally will communicate and behave forever, okay? It's very hard to change people's behaviors. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but the baseline has to be there. They need to be able to write an email without huge grammar and spelling mistakes. They need to be able to get there on time and do the work on time, and then do the correct amount of work, and be eager to learn, be eager to ask you questions without being afraid of sounding stupid, right? And without being butthurt when they get rejected by prospects. So I need to see that in the first 24 hours. And of course, if there's some kind of result, they set up a meeting, or God forbid, they close a sale in the first 24 hours, that's actually a very good thing as well. So out of the 3, most likely, if I get a little bit lucky, one of the 3 is going to be pretty good. And that's the person I give a 1-week assignment to, okay? And after 1 week, I know a lot about these people after a week, because they're communicating with other people in my company. If they don't, that's a bad sign. They're potentially even closing already a sale or 2, and so on. In fact, if they can't close a sale in a week, that's actually already a bad sign, unless you're selling the really high-ticket, complicated stuff. So how do you train them? So you need to base your training off of your own experience. So you need to get good at sales yourself first before you hire salespeople. Otherwise, you don't really know what they're doing. It's like this black box, and you don't know what they're promising, and it's just really messy. But if you know exactly every word they should say, you give them a script, at least in bullet points, the process, what they can promise, what they can't promise, the delivery, like with the contract and so on, then you can teach someone very, very quickly how to do that. And you can replicate this process. You can replace salespeople quite quickly because they have, they're not going to stick with you for 5 years, generally speaking. Most of them are going to quit after 3 to 6 months. So depending on the industry and how good you are in managing people, of course, and selecting them in the first place and some other factors. But what you're looking to do is you're looking to have a standardized training process where they can become a quote unquote, carbon copy of you, so they can replicate your results. That's the best way to train salespeople. And that way you can grow your business quite quickly, because how fast would your business grow if there was 5 of you, right? And they were only focused on sales. That's the kind of people you're looking for. And then you need to make sure that you're paying them a high commission and a very low salary, if any salary at all. The lower you pay them base salary, the better in my experience. And the higher your commission is, up to 30%, depending on the industry, of course, the better. So in services with high margins, like delivering digital services, yes, high margin justifies a 30% commission. That means they can make a lot of money. Now, if they make a lot of money, they're going to be quite eager to stay with you. Now, one final point about hiring salespeople: don't give them your whole funnel. Don't teach them everything about how to get the leads. Just get them to do the sales only. Everything else is done by other people. That way, they're less likely to leave and start their own company. Because make no mistake, these people, they're going to be ambitious and they're going to be capable. So you want to keep them in that sales position, not have them take over the whole business, or go off and start their own company as soon as you teach them enough. So that's pretty much it about hiring salespeople. I want to share you with this in this video. So if you have any questions or experiences that you want to share in the comments below, that would be awesome. I'll reply to every single one of them. If you like this video, please thumbs up on YouTube and share it with your friends on Facebook. If you like more free videos on marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship, please subscribe. I release daily videos, and I'll see you tomorrow.